What's up guys, jlhmac here, and today we're going over a game that Nick Lost Gambit Walsh played at the $7 limit a few days ago. We can already see that there's a person sitting out. I don't know how much through the game they're going to be sitting out, but this is very nice for your win rate. It just means that you're playing heads up for 3 buy-ins rather than 2. It's very hard to be losing if this guy is always folding. So ace deuce in the small blind against the big blind. According to our charts, generally speaking, we're going to be wanting to fold ace 2. This is because normally when we have more power points, more cards, being out of position is a bitch basically. So ace deuce normally won't want to be played, but because both of us only have 2 power cards, we can play slightly wider. So I would include ace 2 here and make a limp. Raising is also possible, but I wouldn't advise doing it too often, especially right now while people are playing far wider than they probably should be. So he does 3x. I think it's going to be okay, but I think limping is the better play. And then he uses X-ray immediately on the flop. I don't mind using that. And now that he sees the jack, I think you've got to give up. You haven't really got any other power cards to use. You're just going to have to let the pot go. So yeah, that was incredible. And we fold it out. 7-10 on the button. We have a slight power disadvantage, both of the big blind and the small blind, the big blind is now playing. They both have 3 cards and slightly more power points than us, which means that we have to play slightly tighter than our charts would suggest, but 10-7 suited is still well within those means. There's normal sizing that we're going to go for is 3 times the big blind. I don't mind making it slightly smaller because we have this power card disadvantage, but 3xing is probably okay. Let's see if we can take it down. We do. That's good. Next hand. We got 2-6 on the big blind. If anyone raises, we should just be folding it out. It just doesn't play well enough. So let's see a fold, please. Good. King 7. This is a type of hand that, according to our charts, it's right on the border between playing or not. So oftentimes, as soon as you see yourself, say, have more power points or a good combination of power cards, then you can start to think about playing such a hand. So X-ray and EMP can go quite well together, but I think overall they don't really play so nicely. So I would be folding if the button doesn't get involved. If we had a nicer combination of cards that went well together, I think we should be thinking about playing the hand. But I think this is too wide. So yeah, and we get punished for it. Now that we're in this position where they've gone all in, it just makes sense that we use both X-ray and scanner. The order in which you want to do it is most definitely to X-ray first. If we see a king in their hand, I would just completely give up on the pot. That's because we don't know, we're only scanning to look for a 7 now, and that might not even be good against kings. So I'll just completely leave it out. Any other card we can scanner to try and hit the king. So now he shows a queen. It's very likely he's either got king queen suited, ace queen suited, or queens. Any other combination would be quite surprising to be jammed like this. Realistically, the most likely holdings are ace queen and queens, mostly queens. So we can scanner to see if we hit a king if we want. I think that's reasonable. We're going to hit 1 in 8 times, so I think it's worth just playing the 4 power points and then try and get that double up. But folding, not using scanner and folding is perfectly fine as well. Pocket sevens in the big blind. So far T-Boy hasn't been too active, so that means he's probably playing a quite correct amount of range. Because we're in position, I don't see really much of a use for EMP. I prefer just raising outright to 2.5 or 3 times the big blind and then seeing what he wants to do. If we were out of position, then I much like jamming, much prefer it. 2-4 suited is very likely now, especially after X-ray, that we're not playing this hand. Yeah, just a straight fold. 4-5 off, again, too weak a hand, especially while we're making slightly higher sizes than most people. We decide to X-ray, which can mean that you could open wider, but I'd only want to X-ray when both players don't have 15 power points and 3 power cards. They can easily just reload or change their hand so much, and I would just give up completely on the pot. Yeah, so Lost Gambit realized that maybe it wasn't the best of ideas, especially now he can see the 4 out with just a 5 kicker. I wouldn't even use the X-ray, mainly because we have Disintegrate as well. X-ray and Disintegrate is a very nice combo. So we've got 9-8 suited against Small Blind. Small Blind uses Intel, very powerful card, and folds. So very nice. And now we have Ace Jack in the Small Blind, hand that we're probably going to be playing. The button gets Intel again and folds again. So you can do 2 things. You can either raise the 3 times the big blind, or you can limp. I think they're both reasonable. You're out of position, so Ace Jack isn't anywhere near as good as you might expect. Cloning Intel is almost definitely going to be a good idea. I'm not sure if I'd actually use it though, because it doesn't really combo very well with Disintegrate or Scanner. You can now see what's going on in the pot, so if you do use Intel, you can probably make a 3 times raise to just try and take it down. Or 2.5 raise, yeah. But you have to be aware of how it combos with these 2 cards. So Intel is very good with hands like Upgrade and Reload. Not so much with Scanner and Disintegrate. So now that we have Engineer, Scanner and Disintegrate, we must be looking to get rid of either a Scanner or Disintegrate in the future. Now we raised with 7-6 and get jammed on. Unfortunately, 7-6, even if we do hit a pair of 7s, is not the nicest. I think scanning is very nice idea. I mean, you need to get rid of Disintegrate or Scanner to try and get a better combination of cards. So using Scanner is quite nice, and if you see a 7 or a 6, you're gonna have to go with it. If you see anything else, you don't. You don't want to waste an Engineer on a 7 or a 6 because you might still be flipping even if you find that pair. Using engineer now is just a terrible play. I mean, even if you hit your 7 or a 6, you don't really know how good you actually are. Getting rid of scanner makes sense because you want to have a combination of engineer and reload, or disintegrate, X-ray, something that combos well together. Just getting rid of engineer as well is just completely wasting the pot, completely wasting the hand. So I can't agree with this. 7-3 off, and we're in a very horrible spot now where we have the shortest stack and no power points. So we're going to have to get lucky and hit a big pair pre-flop, basically, if we're going to get back into this match. Or our villains need to be doing stuff like this, just straight out jamming all in, not using any of their power cards, so that we have an opportunity to keep the playing field level. But yeah, we're not in a good spot right now. So 10-6 off, we're just going to have to be giving up. We have a power disadvantage, and we have chip disadvantage, and we're out of position. Queen 4 off, again, we're going to have to be folding because of the same reasons as before. Even though we are in position, we have less power points than the other players, so if you look at the button open, it's right on the edge of being opened or not. Because we have a disadvantage, we definitely just want to give it up. If we were slightly less amount of big blinds, or even now, I guess, we want to start limping from the button. That means our range could be widened slightly, but I would not be using that here while both players have full power points. So let's see if anything happens. Okay. So we've got something to note. This guy I call you all is clearly just wanting to gamble. He's not been using his power points, he's just been going all in. So we have to be aware of that and be able to call looser. And for example, in the pot where we had 7-6 off, it now makes it very reasonable to have used both scanner and engineer, because if we hit our 7 or 6, we know that it's very possible that we're good. It looks like we might be heads up now. Unfortunately, we're heads up against the probably better player, but it's okay. We got aces. So aces here, I would just be jamming. But for now, you want him to use his power points. We'd have no reason to use our power points. We want him to engineer a pair and stack off with it, or we want him to at least use his power points so that we can get that advantage back. When we have big pairs, I just suggest to jam. Until we see the population tendency starting to fold too much, we're just going to have hands like pocket jacks, pocket queens, pocket kings, and aces. That's just a straight out jam, because right now people are calling very wide, or they're using a hand like engineer to make themselves a pair of 8s, or for example, and they're still in bad shape. So yeah, just jam. And hero does. We see the guy engineer. Hopefully he finds himself a pair of some kind. Doesn't look like it. He picks the 8, so and we're in a good spot. Just need to hold, and we do. So now we're very much back in the game. We got the power point advantage, and the blinds are high. So we can use the pressure of the amount of power points we got that would be very useful. I think what I would do in this spot is see a flop, then use X-ray, and then we have the opportunity to use disintegrate. I don't mind using it now so much, but I think I prefer using it on the flop. I think this is quite a risky play. If he had 4 points or less, it's a lot less risky because he can still have engineer. He has 3 cards, even though he just well, he does have engineer. That's the problem. The last thing that he cloned was engineer, so this can leave us in a big trouble spot. So he picks the 7 immediately. Probably got 8-7. Yeah. I don't like the jam at all. And we lose. So I think that was a big mistake at the end. I would much prefer using a hand on the flop. Let's go back. Okay, the flop would have come out Ace-7 King. We would have X-rayed. We would have seen the 8. Then we have the opportunity to disintegrate in the future. We probably go all in directly on the flop because we want to lock the ace and we are first to act, which is great. And we would be in a winning position if we didn't make that mistake. So it's definitely something to think about. Alright guys, that's all for our second review video. If you want more info on the ranges that were mentioned, be sure to head over to our website op.poker.contact. Links below. The charts are free and there is a video to accompany them here on YouTube. So, ciao for now.